Oh, hello there, and welcome to Stoichiometry in the Kitchen with Mr. Kehoe. Today we will be doing two different experiments. One for level 3 is to figure out how to make 10 grams of washing soda using baking soda. Now, baking soda is sodium bicarbonate, and washing soda is sodium carbonate. Sodium carbonate is Na2CO3, whereas bicarbonate is NaHCO3. So to do that, I performed the stoichiometry calculations, which you will need to do on your own, and I measured out the proper amount of baking soda in teaspoons and put it on a piece of parchment paper that I'm then going to bake in the oven at 350 degrees Celsius, 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I still have a English system oven. Probably, I don't know, I'll probably leave it in there for maybe about 15 minutes or so and see what happens. So 15 minutes is probably all I have to do is just make sure that this gets plenty warm. And it should be good to go. This is the same reaction that happens in like cookies when you have baking soda that causes like cookies to rise a little bit. So here I go. I'm just going to throw this in the oven. We'll check back later. While I'm waiting for my washing soda my washing soda to be made out of baking soda, I'm going to do the next level experiment, level 4, which is reacting baking soda and vinegar to try to fill this baggie. Now, this baggie, unlike some, did not tell me what the volume of the baggie was. So what I did is I filled it up with water, and then I used this measuring cup, which has metric units, to figure out how many milliliters were in this bag. So then I can look at how much gas should I be making. I'm going to assume that this vinegar is 1 mole per liter, which I put that in conversions of mole per teaspoon, I think it was, cups. I put moles per cup for you in the classroom. Now, it's actually a little bit less than 1 mole per liter probably, so I'm going to put in a little bit extra vinegar. And so my limiting reactant is going to be baking soda, which I have in this scoop, but I've added like an unknown amount. So all you know is it's less than this amount. I'm not even going to tell you what size this cup is. So the way to do this is in my baggie, I'm going to first add my baking soda to one corner of the bag. So I'm just going to put this in here. And then to make sure it stays sealed off while I add my vinegar, I'm going to pinch in on the corner here. And then I'm going to add my vinegar. Let's see if I can get this in here nicely. To the other corner of the bag, so they won't touch until I'm ready for them. Okay. So I'm going to get as much extra air out of the bag as I can without reacting them together, and then seal it. And I have no idea if this is going to work, if my measurements or my conversions, especially for the baking soda, are anywhere near good enough. So we're going to go ahead, react them together. So you can see the baggie better filling up. Still going. I don't think this is going to fill quite as much as I would have liked it to. I think probably the problem with that is that when I calculated the amount of grams or moles per teaspoon with baking soda, of course, I was using the density of baking soda to do this because I don't have a scale at home either to measure like grams, and I figured neither did you. Would be better if I did. But of course, when I fill up a teaspoon with baking soda, I didn't pack it down. Maybe I should have, and there's some air in there. So I'm getting less moles of baking soda in than I thought. So again, it's not perfectly filled up, and so yours probably won't be either. So it's filled, fairly well. I suppose I could do an experiment to figure out what exact ratios should put it in. But again, as long as you can show me that you got a baggie that was close to fill, which this one is, and show me the calculations for what it should be based on my numbers, that's good enough. All right, it's been about 10 minutes since I put my baking soda in the oven to try to convert it into washing soda. I think I maybe said 15 minutes earlier. I'm getting impatient, so I'm going to go with 10. and we'll see how that goes. All I really have to do is just make sure that I get all of the baking soda hot. Now, baking soda is a white powder, so is washing soda. So visually, there isn't a ton to look for to make sure the reaction's gone to completion. So let's take it out of the oven and have a look here. So get our trusted oven mitt. Go ahead and make sure I remember to turn off my oven. Right. And so when we look at the hopefully what is now washing soda, there's not a whole lot of difference between the baking soda we started with. You probably can't even notice any difference on the camera. I do believe it looks a little grainier than it did before, and that's probably about it. So I'm just going to leave this to cool, and I will get it folded up and put it into a baggie to bring to school to check to see if it is 10 grams like I was hoping for. Based on my experiment with the vinegar and baking soda, I'm going to guess that that's going to be less than 10 grams since the baking soda is going to end up being, looks like it's less moles per teaspoon than I believed it to be initially. So we're going to use my amount to kind of calibrate based on yours. So if you try to do it too, whatever mine is, that's going to what we'll say yours is shooting for. And that'll also kind of give me a way to calibrate for how many moles per teaspoon is baking soda really. We can also titrate that to see is purity of washing soda versus baking soda. So maybe that'll be a lab for the future.